Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. Uh, yeah. I was going to bring the Kindle with me because I did read a book this week and I thought we could talk about it. But you know what? I don't think there's much to talk about with this particular book. I think it's the kind of book that if you know it exists and it interests you, you'll read it eventually. And that's just fine. And that book is called On Writing from Stephen King. It is a sort of a memoir, sort of a reflective on his life. And I enjoyed the book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but there's not really much to say about it because I think that unlike a lot of writing instruction books that say this is how you plot, this is how you know set your this is how you outline, what's your theme, all that. He doesn't, that's all just nonsense. And I think he gives the best advice is just do it. You have to just do the thing. And so as I read it, I had a whole lot of personal reaction to the material because the opening of the book is very much like instead of being an instructive lesson, it's more of just a insight into who Stephen King is and the events of his life that led him to be this author that he is. And so today's my birthday. I turned 45 today, and for one day only, I am 18 years older than my wife. If you don't know, Malia's birthday is tomorrow, so we're very close. That way. We're very close in all ways. But anyway, I turned 45. And so I was reflecting. As I read this book, I found myself reflecting on my life. Because there were parallels. There were significant parallels, in my opinion, other than the fact that he's a successful author and I'm just an average guy doing an average job in the most average way possible. And a lot of the things that he talked about in his youth, like he used story as an escape. He used story as comfort. That was me, right? Like that's who I was. I did not have a lot of friends. I wasn't sickly as like he was all the time, but I spent a lot of time reading. I wasn't a sports guy. And I think that from that reading, from that, like I wanted to create my own stories when I was little. In fact, I went looking for it before turning the camera on, but I didn't look very hard. Recently, my mother has given me like a tote that was all of the stuff from my childhood, which is a very weird gift to give. It's a very, like, these were not my things, right? They were like little feeties and blankies and like stuff that I have no memory of. Like, it's not important to me. It was important to her. But in there, I found the first book that I ever wrote, and it was called The End of the World, and it was like 4 pages. I'd stapled, I'd put together like 50 sheets of paper, but I only ever actually wrote the first like 4 or 5 pages of that thing. And that was when I was like 7 or 8 years old. I was little. And reading about Stephen King writing young and his mother encouraging him. I can remember my parents being encouraging, like I wrote books about dinosaurs. Like I drew pictures and like an illustrated book about dinosaurs. I wrote stories. They just weren't there. That wasn't. It had never occurred to me that could be something I could do like professionally until high school, right? Even in middle school, junior high, I was writing comics. I had a comic called Happy Man, and I drew probably a dozen issues of Happy Man, all hand drawn, put together, stapled like a comic book. I have no idea what happened to Happy Man, the comics. They were very, I was 13. They were very boobies and dick jokes and very just offensive for the sake of being offensive. And there's probably was some racism in there because I grew up in that environment. Like it was just puerile. But I was drawing them. I drew them and I made issues and I gave them to my friends to read. Stephen King did the same thing, but he created newspapers, he created stories, and he sold them. I didn't do any of that. I never sold any of that stuff. I got to high school and I was never part of the newspaper or anything like that, but I did write stories that were published in my high school journal. I don't know what it was called. It was called Scratches. I do know that, but it was basically like collections of stories and poetry and that sort of stuff. I had poems and I had stories written in there. But I've been reflecting a lot on like, why am I trying to write? What's why? Like, I've always enjoyed words and I've always enjoyed phrases and I've always enjoyed stories. Why do I need, or why have I always felt the need to project my own? Um, I was, I don't know if we might have talked about this recently, but I was looking through my old Amazon account. I had an Amazon account before my current Amazon account, and I had a bunch of books. And so I was looking through orders on that account, and I found one from like 2001 for a book, for the book Finish the Script, which was, and I recall at that time I had a script in my, I was writing a script. I had a script that I wrote for a short um, movie, like a silent film. And so I was trying to tell story then, and I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't good at it. In 2003 or so, I recorded a short film with a friend as a project. He called me up one day and said, "I have a movie, or I have my brother is going on vacation. We can use his film equipment." He had like a Sony DV cam, and he was a professional commercial. He made commercials, and so over the course of a week, I wrote a script and we shot a short film in 3 days. Uh, and then for whatever reason, I just stopped writing. Like I was writing poetry, a lot of poetry. I wrote a lot of poetry. Uh, and then at some point, I kind of just grew up. That's what I tell myself. Like I just kind of let that dream go. And so I've been looking at the last few years, the last 5 years, since Malia's come into my life and has encouraged me to pursue writing again, because it's something that I've always felt close to, but I've never realized it. I've written things. I've written blogs. I've written rule books. I enjoy using language to convey thoughts, to convey ideas, to convey meaning. But writing fiction is something that I there's a 20-year window basically that I just didn't do it, from like 25 to now. And so reading his book was really a reflection for me. It wasn't really about how to write. Like everything he said was stuff I've heard before. That's not true. I mean, he did say a few things that were like and he gave me. There was definitely, I gained some impetus from his book, but it was more like just a reflection on my own life through this weird telepathic connection with him, and that was cool. That was very cool. Um, And I think the takeaway, like so many things, is just to do it. Like whatever it is you want to do, just do it. You know, um, if you want to do something, just remind yourself that anything else is not doing the thing. The only thing that's doing the thing is doing the thing. So studying about the thing or reading about the thing, that's not the thing. The thing is doing the thing. Do it. Just do it. Just do it and do it and do it and do it. And eventually something will happen. Either you'll burn out and realize that it's not the thing for you, or you'll push through some boundaries and find success. That's the basics, right? That's every self-help book ever. Like literally all of them, that's all they come down to is freaking do it. Just suck it up and do it. So, it's my birthday. I'm reflecting today. I'm reflecting on where my life is right now, like where I'm headed, the strange things that, I mean, just the idea that I've been on vacations, like I've been to Europe now. I've been on cruises. Got married in Mexico. The thought of that 5 years ago or 6 years, 10 years ago that was an impossibility. Like those things were never going to happen. I was just destined to be a poor West Virginian for the rest of my life. And that's not the truth. The truth is it took that push. It took It took my wife to say, listen, why don't we, like, let's go for what we want. And okay, let's do that. So I'm in a very good place. That being said, 2 weeks. I'll be out for a little bit. I'm going to Gamma trade show. So I need some content for those days. I don't know what to publish. Do you guys have any ideas? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is triptych. It is a noun meaning a picture or carving in 3 panels or a set of 3 associated printings or other works of art. Scott wanted to buy just the center painting, but the gallery owner refused to break up the triptych. Triptych, Triptych. Who would buy a like that? Come on. A triptych is a triptych for a reason. You can't just buy one piece. That's heathenism.